So a couple of videos ago I asked, was Xbox holding Scorpio back? And the reason I asked that question was because up until now, it had appeared that Microsoft was going to require parity when it comes to frame rate with the Xbox One and the Scorpio. I mean, I didn't just pull this idea out of my butt. I actually read this last year whenever there was this reveal. Microsoft Studios general manager said that you would see higher resolution on Scorpio, but frame rates would be locked together. There were many stories dealing with this. There was a Game Informer interview where Game Informer asked specifically whether there would be different frame rates for the same game running on Xbox One and Scorpio, and the general manager said no, there wouldn't be any frame rate difference. They even go further in the interview and say, well, what if Xbox One games are only capable of sub 60 frames per second? Is Scorpio going to be locked to that? And again, he answered yes. And so that's why I brought this up the other day and I said, look, if you're tied down to old hardware, what's the point of upgrading? Because to many of us, higher frame rates are a lot more important than resolution. And so holding back a premium product because of an older one, to me, that makes no sense. But I also said, and I ended that video by saying things could definitely change, and that's why it's important to make it known now what you want. Voice your concerns now as opposed to waiting till it's too late. Flash forward to today, and it appears that frame rate parity is no longer a thing between Scorpio and Xbox One. Microsoft's corporate VP stated on Twitter that devs are free to choose how they use the power of Project Scorpio for games. We have no requirements limiting frame rate or fidelity. When one gamer brought up the previous frames per second parity that the GM manager had talked about and basically made the argument that I made that, look, if you're letting a 2013 console dictate what a 2017 console can do, that's crazy. Mike responded again, reaffirming that this isn't the case and it's up to the devs to choose for their games what they want to do. So, good news. Good news for everybody. There definitely shouldn't be any parity having to be tied down to the least common denominator when it comes to frames. There's no parity with resolution anymore. There's no parity when it comes to controllers, and they've got all these elite controllers out. Frame rates shouldn't be treated any differently. So now we just have to hope that devs are going to actually take advantage of this. Of course, the latest outcry is dealing with Destiny 2 being locked at 30 frames per second. So if you missed my last video, be sure that you go and check that out. But if you do, you'll see that the devs said that it's not going to be 60 frames per second on the PS4 Pro because it's CPU bound. And so the system is too weak to run that game on PS4 Pro at 60 frames per second. Now, whether or not Scorpio is capable of 60 frames per second remains to be seen. But even if it was, I'll tell you the truth, I wouldn't hold my breath that we'll see 60 frames per second on Scorpio because Sony owns the marketing rights to Destiny 2. So I doubt they would give extra features if, again, it's possible, and I say if, and big quotation marks, if they're going to give extra features to another console, even though they got marketing rights with Sony. But who knows, because to play a little devil's advocate, there's plenty of games out there that have PlayStation marketing deals where the game looks and runs a lot better on PC. So at this point, all we can do is speculate. But the good news is there is no parity between Xbox and Scorpio frame rates now, and devs can unleash the full potential of new hardware, and that's something to be happy about. Stay tuned right here to this channel and videogamesnews.com for the latest gaming headlines. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Are you listening? Damn.